It's Mondays with Sasquatch. Messing with Sasquatch.
Right,
That was Thursday. Messing with Sasquatch was Thursday, if you missed the Picks podcast from last week, which was supposedly going to be a disaster and everybody loved it. So I don't want to do this. The only thing that works in this business is if the rare fights that happen are authentic. This isn't a bit. Genuine. I don't like the aspect of it where we act like we know what we're talking about and forgotten.
I disagree with all the bullshit you're saying.
Right,
and all of a sudden we're trying to get back at each other. I do know what I'm talking about. I find that insulting.
We rarely fight. Hang on, let me finish. When we do, it's real. I'm not being a baby.
You are being a
sake. Let me talk. It's temporary, and we move on.
Yes.
And it was awesome.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Yeah, it was, and it was real.
Oh, hello.
Oh, yeah,
Week
baby.
9.
Man, baby, where's Matthew Berry when you need him?
Yeah.
Where's he at?
Chris Simms Unbuttoned Picks podcast, delivered by Little Caesars, the official pizza the official pizza sponsor of the NFL.
Pizza. He's flustered early. We got him on the ropes. He's a little wobbly. Kid can't even read right now. Uh-oh, problems. Hey, we want volunteers, not hostages, all right? So you ready to do this today? You ready to be a team player and actually enjoy your easy job of picking games in the media business? You ready for this? Let's go, kid.
Are you done?
Yeah, no, maybe
just
not.
Because the Yankees lost last night? Is that where this is coming from?
It is. I'm very frustrated. Yes, that hurt me. Like, it hurt me to the point, I think my fandom for the Yankees is greater than any other team in sports, right? Because there's just no affiliation. I could be a true fan. To the point where, like, I woke up 4:30 this morning to take a pee, and I was like, I literally did, I can't believe they lost that game, like, on my mind in the middle of the night. Really was. To blow a 5-0 lead with problems we had all year as the Yankees. We suck at everything other than hitting. That's what we were the whole year, and unfortunate. But congrats to the Dodgers. Great team there.
I actually watched most of that game.
I like it.
Most of the game.
I like it.
I tuned in. It was 4-0. And I watched it from that point forward. And I was stunned when Aaron Judge dropped. It wasn't a routine can of corn, but it was a catch that you expect professional level.
And he had already made a big-time catch jumping up the wall, like just an inning or two before that.
Yeah, it was bad. And the not covering first base
was bad.
That
I don't understand even how that happens. I mean, if my son did that in 8th grade baseball, I'd be yelling at him for a month. I'd actually probably tell the coach to take him out of the game. He doesn't even know how to play. I really would.
You're on the brink. You're on the brink of getting out of.
You're going to get out of it.
The jam.
We're going to be okay.
No runs allowed.
I know. It was a tough one. It really hurt me. Maybe one day I can make you into a Yankee fan too, and we can, enjoy those games together.
I got a soft spot for the Yankees. I do. When I was in high school, I found like one of those awesome satin blue Yankee bomber jackets. And you couldn't find anything other than the local team. So when I found it at the mall, I bought it because I didn't have any allegiance to the Yankees. It's just nice to see something other than the local teams. This is cool. This is different.
Yeah.
I wore that thing all the time. So, I got a soft spot for the Yankees. I was rooting for the Yankees last night, and I'm sorry it turned out the way it did. But if you're going to be an asshole, I'm not sorry. If you're going to come at me, then no, I'm not sorry. Okay. All right. And I'm also not sorry that I continue to lead, although we both last week, we had set a bar that I knew we were never. Oh, yes. We had set a bar.
That's a great
Run
pick.
PFT, here. Baby. We had set a bar that we weren't going to keep doing. It just was impossible. And 10-6 is still pretty good.
Yeah.
But I feel bad that we were 10-6 after being 13-2 and 12-2.
I know.
The prior 2 weeks.
I know. Yeah. Well, the full slate of games and everything like that, I think, of course, makes it harder. And we know we had some unbelievable upsets and game endings there in the 1 o'clock hour that were incredible. I'm glad I took the lead in one area. I got the lead in one area. I'm not giving up and straight up. And I want to win best bets. I got to win 2 out of the 3. That's my goal. So we'll see where this goes. Best butts? I like best butts too.
Let's just not even start down that path.
All right.
Okay. So bottom line is we're both doing pretty well straight up. You are underwater against the spread.
Yeah.
I am 30 games over 500 against the spread.
It's
what
incredible.
The hell?
That's incredible.
What the hell?
It's really impressive. It is.
And I thought last week was a disaster, and I still went 9-7.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
We're going to do our best this week to make it not a disaster. Before we get to the picks, though, we remind you every week this season you can play along with us. DraftKings has set up the free $1,000 Florio and Simms Pick'em Pool. Pick every game against the spread for a chance at a $1,000 prize pool every week.
Download the DraftKings app, click on the Pools tab, and enter the Florio and Simms free $1,000 Pick'em Pools to make your picks.
Just like us, you must enter all your picks before kickoff of the first game of the week on Thursday night, and that means tonight, and that means the New York Jets, for the second time this year, operating on a Sunday to Thursday turnaround with their 40-year and almost 11-month-old quarterback, acting like he's perfectly fine because he's drinking water with cayenne pepper or some such nonsense. The Jets tonight, speaking of nonsense, are favored by 1.5 over the 6-2 Houston Texans. Now, the Jets have been favored in 2 of the 3 post-Robert Saleh games, and they've lost every single one of them. I still can't get my brain around the idea that the Jets are favored. The over-under is 42. Chris, do you think the Jets end this 5-game losing streak that dates back to the last time they won was the last time they were on Thursday Night Football?
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say tonight's the night they get off the schneid. Now, I don't feel comfortable. It ain't going to be a best bet. I expect this to be a nail-biter type of football game. But I think between the desperation of the Jets and truly like, this is it if you lose, because you'd have to go perfect pretty much from here on out and run the schedule with wins that way. Thursday night, at home, Halloween, the Texans, like we've talked about the last few weeks, it's been good, but it hasn't been great. Now they lose Stephon Diggs. They don't have Diggs. They don't have Nico Collins. I worry about that aspect of their offense. The Jets defense showed great ability to shut down this offense last year, right? This Houston Texans offense with Bobby Slowick, I would say it's Shanahan light. That's what it is. And guys like Saleh and Ulbrich, I think, have a pretty good idea of how to defend some of that stuff. So because of that, and then Aaron Rodgers being at home, not a lot of crowd noise, everything like that, get to the line of scrimmage, get in the right play, do those things. I'm going to take the Jets because their backs are against the wall, and this is it. And I picked them the last 3 or 4 weeks to just get off the schneid that way. I'm going to ride them one more time here. Like I said, I don't feel comfortable, but 2017 Jets, I'm taking them.
How many more losses for the Jets before you stop with
right.
It's time for them to get off the schneid? I think the schneid is what they are.
Yeah.
I think it's who they are. And I think when you lose to the Patriots, one of the worst teams in football, and you seem lackluster in that effort, and after the game, Aaron Rodgers said, oh, no, the energy was fine. Well, that makes it even worse. You lost to the freaking Patriots, and it's a 3-day turnaround, and your quarterback is acting like he's fine. I don't think he's fine. How can you be fine playing on Thursday when you just played on Sunday? It's too much to do. The head coach is over his skis. He's so far over his skis, he doesn't even know skis are on his feet. This all traces to Woody Johnson. I'm not buying it. I don't care that Vegas is trying to lure people to – I never know how the number ends up what it is, because ideally they want equal betting on both sides. So it's a function of the betting that causes one team to be favored. But then every once in a while the sports books decide they think they know something and they hold a number even when they should move the number.
I hear you.
I don't get what they think is going on here.
I think there's 2 things at play. Is one, okay, maybe the desperation of Jets. Maybe there's more than 2 things. 2, the Houston Texans being a beat-up football team. I think that's the other part of it. Well, you talk about the 2 receivers that we talked about, but then on the defensive side, no El Shazier, no Jimmy Ward, no Tio Toto at linebacker. And one of their D tackles is out of the game as well. I think that's what plays into this a little bit, let alone because of that, now the Jets might not have to really worry about the pass game to the extent without the receivers and focus on Joe Mixon in the running game. I could see why they're favored. I was a little surprised, too, when I saw that line, but I can understand it. I'm riding with the Jets. You're riding the Texans. It's a good way to start Thursday night. I like this. I like it.
27-17.
Wow,
Texans.
10 points. Okay, boom. I like it.
And I also think the fact that the Jets are favored will help DeMeco Ryans get his team ready for the first of 3 straight primetime games. Thursday night against the Jets, next Sunday, NBC and Peacock against the Lions, then the following Monday against the Cowboys. So we didn't see the Texans much last year as they worked their way toward a playoff berth. We're going to see them 3 straight weeks in primetime. You don't want to fall flat on your face for the first of those 3 games. Okay, speaking of the Cowboys, that's our first game that we're going to look at Sunday 1 o'clock Eastern. It is the Mike Zimmer, Kirk Cousins, screw you, no screw you, shove you, no shove you, from that Lions game from several years ago when they nearly beat the hell out of each other. Zimmer now the Cowboys defensive coordinator. Cousins obviously the quarterback of the Falcons. The Falcons are favored by 3 points, only 3 at home, with an over-under of 42. It's the highest over-under of the week. Chris, who do you have?
Yeah, I like the Falcons. I do. I think the Falcons on offense got it rolling, and I don't see the New York Jets being able to stop that. One, the Falcons can do both. They can run
New York Jets.
Excuse me. I don't know why I said that. And the Cowboys, I don't know if can stop either one of those. That was my point there. But the Falcons, yeah, their run game, dangerous. Kirk Cousins has really settled in, and that passing game, I mean, it's every week you can count on it to be surgical and destroy people that way. They've figured out how to use everybody within the passing game. Dallas's defense, not complicated enough, not talented enough, in my opinion, to stop this two-headed monster of what the Falcons got between the run game and the pass game. On the other side of the ball, I could see Dallas moving the ball in this Atlanta defense. I don't think it's great, as we've talked about a little bit in the past. It's good. It's creative. I think they're a little bit like, hey, we know we're not great. We're going to bend. We're going to break. We're going to take a shot every now and then, hope to turn the ball over, get the ball back to Kirk Cousins, and kind of outscore you. That's really, I think, how they want to play. I don't think they can expect their defense to stop Dallas all game long. Because of that, I think we have a fun game. I think it's kind of a shootout. I'm taking the Falcons 30-24. I think they win this one at home and continue their run for the NFC South.
You can see I've already typed in mine, 31-24, so we're almost exactly identical on our score. Look, I think the Falcons are prone to crapping the bed. We saw them do that 2 weeks ago against the Seahawks. I think that puts them even more on guard. They're trying to stack wins here. They're trying to build some momentum. And I do think that Cousins-Zimmer thing is real. What we saw and what I've heard and others have heard,
yeah,
there was a lot of tension between those two guys. There was some stuff that bubbled up publicly about Cousins not cutting it loose and throwing the ball down the field. I think he's going to cut it loose and throw the ball down the field just to stick it to Zimmer. 31-24.
I would think they're there, Mike.
It won't stun me if the Cowboys make this game interesting, but I think that all things considered, where the two teams are now, it's hard to think of the Cowboys at 3-5, matching their 5 losses from each of the 3 prior seasons, but it feels like it's heading in that direction.
That's right. It's gonna be tough sledding. Atlanta poses big problems. Dallas still is not good at stopping the run. We know that. Atlanta can really run the football. I think that's going to make them creep up, and we'll see Pitts and London and Mooney down the field. And you're right, Kirk Cousins is going to have fun, rubbing it in a little bit on Mike Zimmer and everybody on the defensive side of the ball in Dallas.
Denver Broncos at the Baltimore Ravens. 9-point favorites are the Ravens, over-under of 45.5. It's the biggest spread of the week, and it's the first of 5 games with a touchdown or more favorite. Both teams are 5-3. Who do you like?
I mean, I like the Ravens, but the 9 points is too much for me. I mean, I have too much respect for the Denver defense. The Denver defense is phenomenal. And I do feel like the Ravens a little bit have fallen back into, we're going to throw the ball every play. They definitely got into that trap last week. To run the ball only 11 times with Derrick Henry against the Cleveland defense that, if there's a weakness to it, it's stopping the run. I don't understand that plan of attack there necessarily, right? This is going to be a different animal altogether. Denver does a lot. They're going to put a lot of pressure on Lamar Jackson, and at the line of scrimmage, what coverage are we in, whatever, they're going to make them have to make some plays and adjustments at the line of scrimmage. Now, I do worry a little bit that they try to blitz and do stuff so aggressive that can end up Lamar throwing bombs down the field to favorable matchups. But in my heart of hearts, I don't think that's going to happen to this Denver defense. And then on the other side of the ball, this is the thing that I come back to. I know Denver offense is not good. Bo Nix had his best week last week. But let me just make sure this is clear. The Baltimore defense is not good. Everybody hears the word Baltimore and they think defense. Defense. I talk to people every week, defense, and I go, their defense stinks, right? Like, look at it. They can't stop anybody. I don't know what Baltimore is going to do. Watching that film back last week, they got to figure it out. They can't rush the passer with 4, And when they play just a four-man rush and do stuff behind it, they get gashed. I almost feel like they need to blitz every play and just get the offense back out on the football field. But I'm going to take the Ravens 24-20. I think this game is closer than those 9 points.
23-20 is what I have, and I have the same feelings you do. The spread is too big. The Broncos are too good defensively, and Bo Nix is getting better each week. He had 4 touchdowns total last week. This game doesn't feel like it will be lopsided. There's a chance the Broncos win the game. I'm not willing to pick the Broncos in the upset, but I do think the Broncos will cover the spread. And the Broncos are going to be a dangerous team down the stretch because they play good defense.
That's right.
They can run the ball well enough.
That's right.
And their quarterback is getting better and better. And he won't be a rookie anymore by the time we get to the playoffs if they make it.
That's right.
They're going to be a dangerous team if they get to the playoffs.
Knows how to coach that time of the year. I agreed. They're made for the playoffs in a lot of ways. So I'm with you. But, yeah, the Baltimore thing, going to be interesting. And like we said to you on Monday, it feels like the world anointed the Ravens kings of football a little too early.
Did.
And
I did.
Everybody did. I get that. And then they get a kind of a free pass, in my opinion, when they lose a game like they did last week. And everybody just goes, oh, no big deal. And I'm going to go, what? Like, that is a big deal. They're 5-3, and everybody's calling them the best team in football. There's a problem with that. Come on.
Oh, okay. Dolphins at the Bills. Speaking of problems,
the
Dolphins are 2-5. The Bills are about to run away with the division. I mean, it's gotten so bad that if the Bills blow this, it will be one of the most epic collapses we've ever seen. Every other team in the division has 2 wins. They're 6-2, and everyone else has 2 wins. The Bills have the chance to basically drop the hammer on the Dolphins. 6-point favorite is Buffalo, over-under of 49. Do the Bills complete the sweep of Miami?
Yes, they do. And, when you get into Miami, and first off, you know this, I know this, the Bills are kind of the original code crackers of this offense. So they know how to defend it. No doubt about that. Their defense is playing as good as it's been, I feel like, since like 2020 or the year they went to the AFC Championship game. There's other years where I think it was coached good, but I didn't feel like the talent was great out there and they weren't playing all that great. This year I feel differently about it. They know how to play this Miami offense. And here's my other thing, too. You watched the game back of Miami last week. Of course, it was the dink and dunk fest. And I understand that. You're getting Tua back into things. You don't want him to hold the ball, take big hits, all that type of stuff. But is that really sustainable? Is that really going to win games in the NFL? I mean, that's what I question. Is Miami going to go into protect Tua mode and just say, oh, forget about winning the football game. He's going to be healthy. I mean, it almost looked that way last week. It did. So I got questions about that. And dink and dunk and throw the ball 38 times for 234 yards, that ain't going to get it done either. And then when the pocket collapses and things get physical, which they didn't really last week, what is Tua going to look like? He was flinchy in the pocket with any downfield throw last week. He wanted to get it out. He didn't want to take a hit. Is that sustainable to continue to play that way and win football games? I don't think so. I think Miami's overrated. I think they got stars that are on the team just because they want to be in Miami. I think Miami's got stars on the team just because they like stars. I don't believe in them. I don't. I think they're a bunch of names. I don't know if there's a team there. I like Buffalo to win this. 7 points is not 6 points is not enough. I'm going Buffalo 34-20. Josh Allen and that offense stay hot.
3 straight games were within a point. I've already plugged mine in, 34-21. So we think of this exactly the same way. Yeah, the Dolphins, look, they were so obsessed with winning in the postseason, they wanted to fast forward and gloss over what gets you to the postseason.
Right.
You're not going to have to worry about losing in the playoffs this year. There was all that goofy stuff about all the clocks were set to 24 or whatever that was. Everything starts at 24 after because it's been 24 years since they won a playoff game or some shit like that. And I think the deeper question is whether or not Stephen Ross will make a major change, GM and coach, even though Mike McDaniel got a new contract before the season. Will this season end badly enough that Ross just presses the button again, as we've seen him do before, and resets and pays out the buyout? It's a tax write-off. There's plenty more money where that came from if he decides that major changes are needed, and he just might. Okay,
yeah.
Saints at the Panthers, a team that needs changes all the way up to ownership. Carolina is awful. Bryce Young is starting again. The Saints, who have been woeful since starting 2-0, they are expected to get Derek Carr back. They're favored by 7.5 on the road. Seems like a lot, even though the Panthers are down. Do you think the Panthers lose And do you think they have a chance to cover? What do you got?
I mean, I do think they have a chance to cover. I'm not going to take them to cover because I just have no faith in their offense or Bryce Young or anything there. There's no Deontay Johnson now. They're obviously in seller's mode that way. Bryce Young's future is uncertain. I mean, again, last week some positive things, but you don't feel like Carolina was like, oh, wait, yeah, he's definitely turned the corner. Here we go. None of that. Yeah, Derek Carr being back. The Saints played tough last week. Yeah, they didn't beat the Chargers. I understand that, but they hung in that football game as long as they possibly could with below-average quarterback play. Their defense is still solid. I think it's still good enough to slow down the Carolina shitty offense. And the other side of the ball, I kind of feel the same way. It's not a great New Orleans offense, but it's enough to move the ball in the shitty Carolina defense. I'm going to take the Saints 23-14.
Yeah, look, I think this one's going to be closer because this is one of the few games left on the schedule that the Panthers have a chance to win.
Yeah, I hear you
and
there.
even if Carr's back, he's
Right.
going to be rusty. And I could just see them keeping it close. I don't think they're going to win. I think 7.5 is too much. I got 24-21, kind of an ugly, close game. Maybe a backdoor cover by the Panthers. Who knows? They scored a late touchdown that made 28-7 or whatever it was look not as bad at 28-14. So I think that the Saints win, but the Panthers stay within the 7.5. Okay, Raiders, Bengals, rematch of a 2021 playoff game that could have gone to the Raiders and derailed the Bengals' eventual Super Bowl appearance. Bengals are favored by 7. They need this one badly if they're going to turn it around and get to the postseason. Over under a 46.5. Do the Bengals get to 4-5, Chris?
I like the Bengals, yes. But I don't ever feel comfortable about like the Bengals winning dominantly or like controlling a football game. And this is a Raiders team that stayed in the game against the Chiefs, last week, played good football. You hear me say every week, the Raiders defense is good. I don't think like Joe Burrow and company are just going to surgically destroy this defense that way. I don't. I think they'll move the ball. I think they'll have a good day, but I don't think it's going to lead to them blowing them out. And then the other side of the ball, again, I saw Gardner Minshew and that offense move the ball in the Kansas City Chiefs last week. That Kansas City Chiefs defense is way better than the Cincinnati Bengals. So I think the Bengals win this one. Desperate. I heard Joe Burrow say it's a must-win game, all of that. But the points are too much. I'm going to take the Bengals 27-21.
I have 27-20 as my score, but it's right on because I do all the scores without looking at the spreads.
Yeah, right.
So now I got to adjust. So am I going to go 28-20 or am I going to go 27-21? And I hate to do this because I usually make all my decisions ahead of time, but I think I will go 27-21. I think I will Raiders cover, Bengals win. I don't feel good enough about the Bengals at this point to assume that they'll cover that 7-point spread. So 27-21 we both have, although I'm cheating just a little bit, but I got no choice because I was at 27-20, which makes it
Hey, we're just happy.
No, 4 out of 5 games.
4
we're
to 5.
Almost exactly on the same number.
Hey, we're just happy you're enjoying doing the show today and doing the podcast, and you're willing to talk about it. We're happy you didn't quit on us and all that crap. All right, so God, if you need to cheat a little bit and pick the same score as me, that's fine. I just want you to keep you happy.
Are you done?
Yep.
All right. Chargers at the Browns. Jim Harbaugh heading to Cleveland. I remember about 10 years or so ago, the Browns almost traded for Jim Harbaugh. Instead, he's now working for the Chargers. They're favored by 1.5. The Browns have Jameis Winston, who is the most fun player right now, in my estimation, in the NFL. Can the Browns make it 2 in a row with Jameis at quarterback? Again, 1.5-point favorites are the Chargers with an over-under of 43.5.
Well, I told you I watched that Browns-Ravens game on film right closely on Tuesday. Wow. Like, you talk about refreshing. Like, watching that offense, I mean, what would the Browns be if they had put Jameis Winston in 3 or 4 weeks ago? What would they be? They have an all-star defense. It's still one of the best in football. Their offense, their attack, their talent is good enough to be better than where they are if Jameis Winston was the starting quarterback. The offense looked totally different, which just tells you that Deshaun Watson was holding them back in every way possible. Simple plays, nothing imaginative or creative. They didn't trust him, I don't think, to see throws down the football field or do anything like that. The offense was wide open with Jameis Winston, let alone he's just a better thrower and a better decision maker than Deshaun Watson. He played really good last week. Really good. I think that continues. This is a tough game. We know that. This is two defenses. It's two teams that got a similar style. In-your-face defense. They're going to bring it, right? And on offense, they want to run the football and then take some shots down the field. That's really what they both want to do. I think Cleveland will do it a little bit better here. The reason I'm going to take Cleveland is really just because I feel like they got a few more weapons on offense. I like their offensive system a little bit more than the Chargers. The Chargers' offense, they don't have anybody that scares you right now. Their big play guy is Ladd McConkey. He's doing good, but I don't think that's going to be consistently relied on in this game. It's just too much work on that side of the ball. I'm going Browns 24-17, Michael.
You mentioned Ladd McConkey. I had to ask my staff if he's related to Phil. Remember Phil?
Oh, of course. I still text with Phil.
Your dad's Phil McConkey?
I
do. Helicopter pilot?
Exactly.
Was he in the Navy? Helicopter pilot?
And so was his daughter. His daughter's a helicopter pilot in the Navy as we speak right now. He still lives out there in San Diego, and he sends me videos of her and himself. He's a psycho in a good way. He's still running track meets for old men and do like 100-meter dashes. He's not related, but this little Ladd McConkey's a good little player.
Yeah, no relation, even though Phil's in San Diego and Ladd's playing for the team that was in San Diego until a few years ago.
Right.
I put down 23-20. I went through these last night before I went to bed, and I rattled off the scores, and I go with the first thing that comes to me. And again, that's my algorithm. The first thing that pops into my head, it was 23-20, Browns win. There's something about this Jameis Winston thing. It has freed up the team. They feel better than they have all year after knocking off the Ravens last week, and I don't think the Chargers are good enough to end this vibe right now. I'm not saying the Browns are going to keep doing it, but they're going to keep doing it at least for one more week because the Chargers, there's just something. They're 4-3, but there's just something that feels a little bit off.
It's all work.
I don't know that,
right.
I don't know that Jim Harbaugh can do enough to will them to the postseason. No. Maybe he can, but they fall into the category of team that you don't want in the playoffs because I don't think they can win if they get there.
Yeah, I hear you there. They just don't have enough firepower on offense. It's work on that side of the ball. And I'm with you the Jameis Winston thing. It's refreshing. I think it's awesome that he's kind of owning his crazy pregame speeches and his after the game speech about Eminem and all that. The locker room's going to rally around that kind of crap. It is. So I do think Cleveland's got a little mojo going right now. Hopefully they can continue it this weekend.
Speaking of mojo, the Commanders, fresh from the Hail Mary that allowed them to beat the Bears last week. They go to MetLife Stadium. The Giants games are always hard fought.
Yep.
Washington's favored by 3.5 with an over-under of 44. According to DraftKings, 88% of the spread bets are on the Commanders. You know, the Giants would have beaten them in week 2
if we had a
in their own building if they just had a kicker. And they had a kicker. They didn't bring him up from the practice squad. What the hell? Can the Giants?
Yeah.
Can the Giants pull off the split?
No, they can't. I think they can make the game interesting and fun to watch, and I think they'll hang around. Again, the Giants are another one of those teams where we talk about, right? The Raiders, a few other ones, Cleveland with Deshaun Watson, where you go, the defense is better than people realize. It's just they can't hold it down forever. You know, it breaks down eventually because the offense is so shitty. But I do think, again, it's a Washington defense that's good, but I don't sit there and say it's great. They play hard, and Dan Quinn and company got some creative things they do, but the talent's not, like, overwhelming. Caleb Williams didn't play good last week. There was people open. Daniel Jones, I believe, will hit a few more of those type of plays. Now, will he make the big plays in the big moments? Probably not, and that's what I don't expect them to win the football game. But I do think that defense will give the Commanders some issues at times, but ultimately the Commanders are just too good at everything right now. They're efficient throwing. They have shown that they are physical in running the football. I like them to win the game. I feel like almost like a late touchdown puts it away with like 4 minutes left. 24-17 Commanders.
You know, we've seen teams get these big emotional wins and then they just fall flat the following week. And I think taking on a division rival that they know well, and they know it's not going to be an easy game, and they know they need to keep winning. Now that the Eagles have won 3 in a row,
right? I
think that the Commanders will not undermine what they pulled off last week by laying an egg against a Giants team that's got short week. And I think short week is an issue, even though the Cardinals proved me wrong on Sunday.
Yeah.
Short week, and they went to Miami, and they still pulled off the victory. I still think we can't rule out short week. Giants were on the road. They had to come home after that loss to the Steelers. I like the Commanders in this one. I've got 28-20. Jaden Daniels, limited in practice yesterday. He's still got that rib thing, but I think Dr. Needle made an appearance. There's no way he makes that throw at the end of the game without a little something from Dr. Needle. I'm just speculating. I don't know for sure, but it's a painful injury.
Yeah.
Something allowed that pain to subside long enough for Jaden Daniels to play that game. But it was fun to watch. It's fun to see what they've become, and let's see if they can ride it out. I think they will, at least for now, 28-20.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Patriots at the Titans. At least the Patriots won last week. The Titans are horrible. I don't know who's going to play quarterback. I am Mason Rudolph, Will Levis. Does it really matter? Drake May's in the concussion protocol. It's going to be him. It's going to be Jacoby Brissett. This is one of those games, like, if no one watches, does it make a sound? I don't know. I think I messed that up a little bit. But regardless, the Titans are favored by 3.5, the lowest over-under of the week at 38. Do the Patriots get to 2 wins in a row? Do the Titans get their first win of the season since whenever? I think week 2 is the last time they won. I don't know, and I don't think anybody cares.
But either way, yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Well, it was Miami. It was Miami, like week 4 or 5
on the Thursday night, or maybe it was a Monday night.
Monday
maybe
night.
I'm wrong.
We're all over the.
Either way, I like the Titans. This is a game that I look at to where I expect them to, almost like you said earlier in the year, there's not a lot of wins on the schedule. This is one they're going to look at and go, we can win this one. We're at home. Our defense is very good. We can totally shut down this New England Patriots offense. It doesn't have a lot to offer that way. Drake May and him not playing, it's a good thing for the Titans. I mean, Jacoby, maybe can run the offense a little bit better, but his arm's not as explosive, and his ability to run and make plays that way, which we've seen Drake May do, is certainly not as good as Drake May. So I think that all favors the Titans. The New England defense, we know, not real good either. I'm expecting it to be Will Levis. And I do think there was some encouraging signs last weekend from the Tennessee Titans. They run the ball okay, and they found ways to get the ball to Calvin Ridley. I don't think they need to do much in this one on the offensive side of the ball to get it done. I'm going to take the Titans 23-16.
Of all the games that are on the schedule this week, now we do disagree on Thursday night. We agreed on everything in the early window on Sunday until this one, because I got the Patriots 20-17. And I say this somewhat jokingly, but also somewhat seriously.
Right.
I could see Mike Vrabel calling up Gerard Mayo and telling him everything he needs to know about every player on that team and everything that he thinks the Titans are doing so the Patriots can stick it to the Titans. And really, in hindsight, all due respect to Brian Callahan, I mean, come on. Should they really have fired Mike Vrabel? The Titans are in a bad spot now. I think it gets even worse. I think the Patriots make it 2 in a row. I'm a little nervous about that now that I know you've picked the Titans, because I could see this one go either way. But what the hell? Hands off the checker. I made the scores last night, 20-17. I've got the Patriots. And at least 2 people in the world will care about the game on Sunday in Nashville, because Chris has the Titans and I've got the Patriots. Okay, let's take a break. Late afternoon, Sunday, week 9, when this joint production of PFTPM and Chris Simms Unbuttoned continues right after.
Happy Halloween. It's an imposter. Florio's dressed up as a costume. He's liking the pod.
DraftKings Sportsbook is the #1 place to bet touchdowns, and new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the app and use promo code PFTLive when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. And as always, please bet responsibly, only with money that you can afford to lose, because you will. All right. Week 9 Picks Podcast, delivered by Little Caesars, the official pizza sponsor of the NFL.
Pizza.
All right.
When I was young, I wasn't sure, right, if it was, I was always like, wait, is he saying pizza, or is he saying eat some pizza? Right? Even say it so fast. Even when I say it now, I'm like, I hope I'm saying it right. I hope it wasn't eat some pizza.
It's pizza.
It is, right. Okay.
Because when they first started, they sold you 2 pizzas.
Oh, that's right.
That's
You're
how
right.
it went.
I do remember
you got
that.
2 pizzas.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. You know what? I remember that now. I totally had forgotten that element of it. Gotcha.
The square Little Caesars pizza is awesome. There's something about what it does around the edge, especially the corner piece. Like the cheese, like it gets crusty and crispy, and they show those little puffs on the commercial. My stomach's starting to growl just thinking about.
Hey, it's like Florio. You talk about a pizza, the stomach starts growling. Hey,
I may have to go up to Little Caesars tonight to get a pizza that I'll take down to the barn for Texans, Jets. All right, let's get to the late Sunday games. Bears at the Cardinals. Bears try to overcome the shit show that happened as the Commanders converted on the Hail Mary. Don't let one loss become two, Chris. That's what I learned from you. Bears have to reset and forget about last week. They got to go to Arizona where the Cardinals are no slouch. Cardinals have won a couple in a row. They're looking pretty good. They're favored by 1.5, over under of 44. Who you got?
Yeah, I mean, the Bears didn't play great last week, really on either side of the ball. They looked like a team that, lost some details and a little physicality over the bye week. Hopefully they're woken up now and ready to go. I think this is a coin flip type of football game, and I'm going with the Bears. And again, I don't feel comfortable. This ain't going to be a best bet or anything like that. I just think the Bears are a little bit more of a physically talented football team than the Arizona Cardinals. I think that's what I look at more than anything. You've heard my thoughts on the Cardinals, their offense. It's getting better. There's no doubt about that. Trey McBride is one of the best tight ends in football. Marvin Harrison Jr. has definitely found a role within the offense, and they're feeding him the ball a lot. But even last week against the Dolphins, too many plays of like, oh my gosh, what a great throw and play by Kyler Murray. Oh, good escape, whatever. And I don't think that's going to be as easy against this Chicago defense, let alone Caleb Williams and the offense of the Bears left way too many yards and plays on the field last week. I think they bounce back, win this game on the road. Not pretty. Like I said, I don't feel great about it, but I just think they're a little bit more of a talented football team. Bears 21-17.
I think that the Bears are going to have a hard time getting over what happened last week.
They could.
I don't have a lot of faith. When I see the quotes from yesterday, it's still lingering. I think, if anything, what they should be doing is the Bill Belichick, we're on to Arizona. We're not talking about it. It doesn't matter. We have a game to get ready for. And when you look at what Kyler Murray has been doing, I just got a text. I saw the item that's going to be posted on PFT.
Yeah.
That Paris Johnson, one of the offensive linemen, talking about how Kyler Murray has given everyone in the organization more confidence. I think what Murray did last week was remarkable. They've found a way to win these close, hard-fought games. They don't give up, and Kyler Murray is achieving a higher level of maturity and performance. I believe in Kyler Murray. I believe in the Cardinals. I've got 24-17 Arizona wins, and I do think the Bears are going to feel last week's game kind of as an anchor and pull them down, and that one loss is going to come too, especially because they're playing a team that I think they view as not a good team, but they are a better team than most people would give them credit.
No, they're well coached. They are tough. That's what you're saying it right. It's really like we've talked about in past weeks. Most people can't name anybody on Arizona's defense. If I go up to Johnny Smith on the street and go, "Hey, tell me somebody on the Arizona defense," they're like, they might know Budda Baker, right? Other than that, there's nobody. That's what that worries me. But they are tough, and they're coached well, and Murray is feeling it. And I'm glad you brought up the Kyler Murray thing just real quick. Kyler Murray and Justin Herbert, to me, have shown a different side of themselves this year as compared to the first few years of their career. There's definitely a little more of a, hey, you do your job. I'm the quarterback. Emotion being showed, right? And leadership is what I would call it. A little bit more of an edge out of both of those guys that I think is helping those teams out. And I think that's what Paris Johnson was probably alluding to with Kyler Murray.
All right, next up, a game that was originally scheduled for the primetime window. The Jaguars and the Eagles flexed out of there. The Eagles are favored by 7.5. They've won 3 in a row. They're building some momentum. They're working in the right direction. Can they keep it going, and can they, more importantly, or as importantly, cover the 7.5-point spread?
Yes. I mean, the Eagles can do all of those things. The Eagles are in a different class than the Jaguars. I could see the Jaguars matching the Eagles early and moving the football. I mean, again, Trevor Lawrence has got a big arm. We know that. They do show moments of being able to run the football and be explosive in the pass game. So I don't see the Eagles just shutting them out. But I think just as the game goes, they won't be able to keep pace with the Eagles and the Eagles' offense. The Eagles' offense, as we've talked about a lot, it's not schematically hard to stop. It's physically hard to stop. Anybody I talk to that's played the Eagles this year, it's always the same thing. I got the scheme. I figured that out. It's just I don't know if we can actually stop them. They literally can just call a play and go, we're running this play. And it's like, well, I hope we can stop these awesome offensive linemen and Saquon Barkley with their 2 running plays on offense or their 4 pass plays on offense where they just, again, throw it up. But, yeah, I think that's going to be a problem here. for the Jacksonville defense. I think slowly but surely the Eagles just steamroll the Jacksonville Jaguars. I like them 31-17.
I got 34-20, and I feel like the Jaguars emptied the tank last week against the Packers,
right?
And it didn't work, and now they're going on the road. They had the 2 games in London. They came home without a break. I just feel like they know how this season's going to go. They know what this means. And I look, I don't want to downplay the Doug Peterson back to Philly angle.
Yeah.
Where he won a Super Bowl.
Right.
But I just think that
that's what scares you is like, is he going to run some trick plays and just be like, the hell with it, go for broke, which could go either way. It can end up getting them killed, or it could end up, maybe keeping them in the game and pull out a miracle victory.
I still think at the end of the day, the Eagles are starting to peak. They're starting to stack wins. And I trust they're not going to allow themselves to trip and fall over the Jaguars, who haven't been great this year, to say the least. Okay, next up, game of the day, Lions at the Packers. Lambeau Field. Lions have won 5 in a row. Stat that we used earlier on PFT Live that blows me away. They've got 25 touchdowns in their 5-game winning streak and 20 incomplete passes in their 5-game winning streak. They're favored by 3.5. We don't know whether or not we're going to see Jordan Love. I have a feeling we will. I have a feeling that for the same reason he made his way onto the field for Week 4 against the Vikings, he's going to be out there for Week 9 against the Lions, over under of 48. You've picked the Lions and the Packers to win every week this season, so something's got to give, unless you're going to predict a tie.
Not predicting a tie. Okay, there's none of that out here. But we know Detroit's the best team in football right now. Nobody's playing better than them. I do think if there's a team that can hang with them talent-wise and aggressive play, offensive, big runs, throw the ball down the field and match them, it's the Green Bay Packers. Like we saw last year. They went in there on, what was that? Was that Thanksgiving last year or whatever it was when they played Detroit? And put it on them. They have a similar style and structure. That's what's awesome. But ultimately here, the thing that scares me is the Jordan Love thing. He has yet to play really good. Here he is again dealing with an injury, not being able to practice fully against a team that's full go, full systems go. We're hitting on all cylinders in every phase of the game right now in Detroit. So because of that, I'm taking the Lions. I think this is going to be a fun game. I think it's going to be high scoring. But I'm going to take the Lions 38-28 just because I don't trust Jordan Love and where he's at right now to be able to match Jared Goff back and forth in a football game all day long.
I've already picked 31-28, and I see the Lions now are 3.5-point favorites. So I'm going to give the Packers the cover. I think they'll find a way. And Love may not practice at all this week. They were talking about that yesterday.
Right.
Forget about limited. He may not practice at all as he tries to recover from that groin injury. But even if it's Malik Willis, I feel strongly enough about the running game and the defense that I think they can find a way to keep it close. I don't think they'll win, but they'll keep it close.
When Malik Willis plays, just real quick, it does change things for Detroit. It does. With Jordan Love, you don't have to worry about quarterback design runs, right? It's really just he's going to hand the ball off. It's play action pass and drop back pass game. Malik Willis in the game adds a whole different dimension to their offense where that will be a pain in the ass for Detroit. It definitely will. And I'm with you that if he does play, I don't look at it like, oh, man, they're screwed and they can't win the game.
Last game of the afternoon window, the Rams, 1.5-point favorites on the road in Seattle, where the home field advantage used to be awesome. Now not so much. Over under of 48. Chris, you haven't picked the Rams or the Seahawks against the spread this season. So again, something's got to give.
Something's got to give. The other two teams win all the time. These two teams, not so much. They're both solid football teams. And you've heard me say this last week, I don't think the Seahawks defense is good. And I think you saw that again last week. They've kind of had some good performances against some very average offenses, but anything you look back on their schedule and you look at, this team has a pretty good offense and a scheme and a quarterback, they get shredded. Absolutely shredded. So I don't trust them in that way. And, it's Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp and Nakua, and the whole cast of characters is back. So I like the Rams in this one. And I do think that Geno Smith and company will make some plays and throw the ball and be exciting that way. But ultimately, I like the Rams and their toughness on the defensive side of the ball. They have a little bit of a bend, don't break style on defense, and then their offense breaks you. Oh, you go score a field goal, we drive and score a touchdown. They're really good at that. I think they're clicking. I think they're desperate. I think they know they got to win these games. I like the Rams, 27-24.
I'm still trying to figure out who Koopa Kupp is.
Yeah, it was Koopa and Puka together. It's Koopa.
Yeah. and it's kind of that, remember that, like, and it's that, they have that bizarre pronunciation of Cooper Manning. It's Cuppa Manning. So
right.
isn't it like this weird Southern Cuppa?
Right.
Not that it's weird to be Southern. I'm just saying they take Cooper and they say it in a weird way. So Cuppa Kupp would actually be better than Cooper Kupp. But either way, I like the Rams in this one. 30-24, I'll give them an extra field goal. They got a few extra days to get ready for this one. They're feeling good right now. They've gone from sell mode to we can win this division. Look at this. We're 3-4 and everybody else is 4-4. This is their chance to make a move, and I think they will. They've got the experience. They've got the pedigree. They've got the coaching, and the Seahawks have been way too inconsistent this year for my liking.
Exactly.
I still can't believe they went to Arizona. They went to Atlanta and won by 20.
Yeah.
I can't believe they pulled that off.
Yeah. Well, we tried to remember last week. It was going to be a back and forth shootout, and then the strip sack fumble happened, and they returned it for a touchdown, and then Atlanta drove right down the field and was in the red zone, and Drake London dropped the pass, and it got intercepted, and that was the game. But again, that's what I'm saying. Like, even in that game, they won by 17, but it really wasn't that a good 17. And like, to your point, I'm with you. Hey, Kyron Williams in this run game, the Seattle doesn't stop the run very well. You get that going, and McVay and them get that going. Good night. With Stafford now off of play action with Puka and Koopa and everybody else, watch out. Right, so I like the Rams.
All right, let's take a break. When we return, the primetime games for Week 9. PFTPM, Chris Simms Unbuttoned, back right after this.
DraftKings Sportsbook is the #1 place to bet touchdowns, and new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the app and use promo code UNBUTTON when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours.
Welcome back to the PFTPM Chris Simms Unbuttoned Picks podcast, delivered by Little Caesars, the official pizza sponsor of the NFL.
Pizza.
All right, let's. I need to go get one for lunch. Forget about dinner. I'm getting hungry, and I'm thinking about that little muffin thing. What's it called? The pizza. It's something. I should know the name of it, but it looks like a little muffin, and I want one, and I will have one today. Colts at the Vikings, Sunday Night Football, flexed into prime time. The Vikings favored by 5. The Colts benching Anthony Richardson for Joe Flacco. I don't know whether the Vikings are happy or upset about that, but when you see Richardson at his highest level, it's pretty impressive. The Vikings were favored by 6 before the benching, so the betting has favored the Colts since then. And despite the 4-4 record, the Colts are an NFL best 7-1 against the spread. Chris, who do you have, Colts or Vikings? And give me your score.
Well, first, the Anthony Richardson thing, right? This is not the end here. This is not. Again, it's early on in his career. And last year's injury, kind of kicked the can down to this year into like, hey, he still didn't develop and get a chance to play last year, let alone he didn't have a full offseason. They still, like you just said, they still see his high-end talent. They're not giving up on him here right now, but he's not ready. And going 10 for 32 or 9 for 24, it's hard to win football games in the NFL like that. Oh, doesn't hit the broadside of the barn. Oh, doesn't hit the broadside of the barn. Oh, doesn't hit the broadside of the barn. Oh, doesn't fix the protection. Oh, whoa, what a throw. Nobody in football can make that throw. Oh, doesn't hit the broadside of the barn. Doesn't hit the broadside of the barn. Horrible decision. Why did he leave the pocket? Oh, no, what the hell was that? Whoa, great throw. That's too hard. And against Minnesota, who we know can stop the run and does a lot of crazy stuff at the line of scrimmage, I guarantee you Brian Flores and company are going, damn it, I wish they'd play Anthony Richardson. We'd have a better chance of tricking them and confusing their offense. Joe Flacco, they're not going to be able to trick him the same way, let alone they're going to have to worry about a more precision passing offense along with that. So I can see the Colts moving the ball. I do see that. They run the ball well, and I think their running game will only be better because Joe Flacco and a passing game will have to be defense now. Where I think when it was Anthony Richardson, defenses were a little bit like, here's most of the chips in stop the run game, and we'll leave like 1 or 2 chips out to stop the pass game. And again, I think that's where Shane Steichen looked at it and went, man, everybody in our locker room, we're in the playoff race. I can't sit here and tell our team we're trying to win games by playing this guy where the ball's all over the place, the decisions are all over the place, and he's tapping out of the game because he's tired. That's a bad look. I'm sure all of that had something to do with that. Not a good look. I think this game will be fun. I think Minnesota's offense is just too much for the Colts defense. That's really what I look at it. I could see it kind of going back and forth, Minnesota scoring a late touchdown to kind of control the football game and go ahead. I'm going to go 30-21 Vikings.
Yeah, I've got 31-23 Vikings. I just think they need this one desperately. They've got a couple extra days to get ready for it. They've got some tough games looming. This is one they need to win. They need to start stacking wins again to rebuild their confidence. And look, even though Joe Flacco played well last year for the Browns, he had a great team around him. He had a better team around him there than he has with the Colts. And he's done okay so far this year when he's played for Indianapolis. He beat the Steelers. But I feel like right now the Vikings need this. Prime time at home. They just need to find a way to make it work and to get a win, get the ball to Justin Jefferson, hope that Cam Robinson can walk through the door and be a competent replacement at left tackle for Christian Darrisaw, get the running game going with Aaron Jones, and hope you can do enough to confuse Joe Flacco or put pressure on Joe Flacco.
Right.
And maybe make him make some mistakes.
That's
that was the criticism last year. He throws the ball down the field. What happens? He gets picked off.
Right.
Get him to make some quick decisions, throw the ball, and force a turnover.
Would you have benched Anthony Richardson, or would you have ridden it out there a little bit and just gone, okay, we're going to take our licks, and that's just what it is, and we're going to deal with it? I mean, there's definitely, I think, a case made for both. I don't think this is an easy decision by any stretch of the imagination.
Two things. Number one, I think that there's a self-preservation angle to this that Shane Steichen recognizes. If I devote the rest of the year to developing Anthony Richardson, I won't be the coach here next year to benefit from his development. And secondly, I think that they were facing a mutiny in the locker room. There just feels like there's maturity issues, the tapping out, there's other stuff that they're tiptoeing around.
Yeah.
I get the sense that the players were done with Anthony Richardson.
I think so too.
Monday Night Football, Buccaneers at the Chiefs. Buccaneers at the Chiefs. And I don't know the spread because my document went haywire on me. What's the spread?
8.5.
8.5.
Slugger.
8.5.
Yep.
Holy crap. I got the document back now. 8.5. Do the Chiefs, who have won every game this year, but they have yet to be impressive wire to wire, can they put together a great game against an increasingly desperate Buccaneers team?
Yes, they can. They can. I thought it was encouraging what they did on the offensive side of the ball last week. I think DeAndre Hopkins, he didn't play a ton, but is already in the trust tree with Mahomes. I think you heard some of those comments after the game. First third down of the game last week, he went to DeAndre Hopkins to convert it. So I think that's encouraging. I do think the Chiefs have found a little formula in the 2 and 3 tight end sets. In fact, nobody runs 3 tight ends sets more in football than the Kansas City Chiefs. And when it's 2 tight end sets, I believe if I got it right and I remember right, Pete, it's like they're top 3 in football. I think that's when they're the most effective on offense. When they move those guys around, they can split them out. They can bring them into power running formations. They do play action. They get in a little drop back. They can run the football, do all that. I, in fact, kind of look at them when they start to get into passing formations. I kind of go, they're not as good that way. We know their defense is good. I don't think there's enough firepower on that Tampa offense at receiver right now to scare this Kansas City Chiefs defense. And the Tampa defense is sucky-ducky. There's holes everywhere. So even though the Chiefs' offense is not great, I think that Mahomes will have one of his better passing days of the year in this football game. I like the Chiefs 31-19.
So you have the Chiefs covering. I don't. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be hard fought. I think the Buccaneers are going to empty the tank. We've got a rematch of Super Bowl 55. I think it's going to be Chiefs win 27-24, but the Bucs are going to hang around and the Bucs are going to make it interesting because they're looking at falling to 4-5. I think they will, but they're going to give everything they can to try to win this one. And I won't be surprised if they do. So I'll take the Bucs to cover, but the Chiefs to win. All right, let's take a break. Best bets and Folsom Prison Blues picks when this Halloween edition, PFTPM, and the Chris Simms Unbuttoned Picks podcast returns right after this. Oh, welcome back to the PFTPM Chris Simms Unbuttoned Picks podcast, delivered by Little Caesars. the official pizza sponsor of the NFL, and there they are.
Pizza,
and it's got that little, little crispy. See that little crispy around the edge?
Oh yeah,
baby. And it's got cheese and pepperoni inside. Man. Oh, baby.
Yeah, that damn.
$3.99 for 4 of them.
Wow.
$3.99 for 4 of them.
Wow. Well, I know what I get a case of the munchies watching Thursday Night Football, I might have to call them up.
I'm trying to press the button on my monitor to order now. It's not working. What the Sorry, Little Caesars. All right, here we go. Best bets time. We disagree on 3 games straight up, 6 against the spread. That means my lead in both categories will inevitably grow. Give me your first best bet. You are leading. You are leading so far.
Thank you very much. Buffalo Bills, that's where I'm going to go first. I'm going to ride those 6 points. I think Buffalo's hot. They're playing good on both sides of the football. I feel like their offense continues to get better in the passing game, too. We're seeing Keon Coleman and company really grow up. The Dolphins on the road, game going to get physical and loud. I just don't trust their offense, and we know McDermott and company know how to stop this offense.
I agree with you as well. Bills is the best bet for me. The Dolphins, I think, on the ropes. The Bills about to punch them through.
Yep. Okay. My next one, I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions. I like the Packers, you know that, but I don't trust Jordan Love right now to be able to keep pace. I know Jordan Love's damn good. He's dangerous, but he hasn't played clean football. There's been too many turnovers. Whether it's him or Malik Willis, we don't even know yet, but I don't feel that either one is going to be able to keep pace with Detroit and Jared Goff. I like the Lions. I had them covering the spread. I had them winning 38-28, so I like them.
I'll take the quarterback that used to play for the Detroit Lions, Matthew Stafford, and the L.A. Rams with extra time going up to an inconsistent Seattle team, getting a win and getting to 4-4. They're only favored by 1.5. I think they'll win by more than that.
Good one. I like that. I hear you there. All right, my last one, and I went back and forth here because I did think about the Broncos as the best bet. The Chiefs certainly were on there for me. And the Browns and Eagles are on there. I ultimately am going to go with the Browns. I don't think there's enough on that Chargers offense to beat Cleveland. That's what I think I really look at more than anything, and I think the juice of Jameis Winston is real. They're 1.5-point underdogs at home. That's a little surprising to me. I'm taking them. I think they cover that spread and win it and eat a W and mom's spaghetti, arms are sweaty, and all of that stuff goes on.
He said yesterday he hasn't heard from Eminem yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, what? I mean, does he think he's the first person ever to, just bring up Eminem? And he thinks he's going to get I should get a phone call from him.
Gee, maybe we will. We brought him up.
Yeah, God, I haven't got a phone call
Marshall,
from him yet, Mike.
I really wanted to meet him when we were in Detroit last year. I really did. I settled for Calvin Johnson, but I really wanted to meet Eminem as well. Give me the Eagles laying 7.5 to the Jaguars. I just feel like the Eagles are spreading their wings.
Keep it close, Dougie
unintended.
P.
Kelly Green weekend as well. I got my hoodie. I got you one last year and refused to wear it.
Yeah, so. I threw up all over mine. I couldn't wear it. Sorry.
Folsom Prison Blues. I'm 5-3 this year. You're 4-4, which means we both suck.
Man.
The one game that we're willing to stake our lives on against straight up. Who do you got?
I'm going to take the Eagles. The Eagles over the Jaguars. Okay. All right.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
I want them to win, but not by 7.5 or more. Keep it close, Dougie P. Hey, good to have you. Glad you enjoyed the pod today.
See you next time. Go screw yourself, bitch.
Yo, homies, thanks for watching. Yeah, it's time. The NFL season is here on Chris Simms Unbuttoned.
You can hit subscribe to get all the weekly picks, plus our Sunday recaps as the games are happening.
Oh, you know it. Nobody does that better than us. Thanks again for watching. Remember to subscribe. Peace out. We'll see you next time on Unbuttoned.